What if sanctuary wasn't just a place, but a way of living? Welcome to the Sanctuary Network, your weekly home for conversations that awaken the heart, heal the body, and inspire the spirit. I'm your host, Mary Ellen Popyk, the creator of Spirit Fest and the Natural Wellness Expos. For 2 decades, I've been creating spaces, now creating a bold new broadcast for mind, body, and spirit, where seekers, healers, and teachers come together to share wisdom, laughter, and transformation. We've seen what happens when communities gather. People become enlivened. Now, through the Sanctuary Network, that same spirit is reaching you, wherever you are in the world. Each week, we'll sit down with thought leaders, authors, and everyday visionaries. We'll also shine a light on the grassroots voices of the sanctuary marketplace, the healers, vendors, and practitioners who make this movement thrive. This isn't just another show, it's your sanctuary, a space to pause, reflect, and reconnect with what matters most. So, take a deep breath, open your heart, and join me. Together, let's step into the sanctuary. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Whether
Hello.
you're listening to us live tonight, hello. We we are so excited about our guest, and this is our first live broadcast for the new year. So happy New Year to you, Jax, to everyone. Normally, we start our show with current events, but I've realized the last several shows I get talking, and some of the listeners are not familiar with even who I am. So I am going to introduce myself first. I'm Mary Ellen. I am the creator of the Sanctuary for Mind, Body, and Spirit that was created in 2005. And I've now are producing 2 very successful events, a Spirit Fest and the Natural Wellness Expo. And we'll get to the websites for those later so you can actually look it up. But we have got the most fantastic guests, vendors, speakers that participate in our show. And that's why we decided that we wanted to do this show, to be able to highlight the fantastic people that we are interacting with and that have become fan favorites. And one is our very special guest today, Jax Cassidy. So Jax is a 6th-generation shamanic healer, psychic medium, and a USA Today best-selling author, which we're going to get into later. I think a lot of people don't know that. She's worked with thousands of clients globally as a reader, spiritual coach, and she's crafted successful workshops for the Awakened Collective. Jax has participated at high-profile events like Coachella for brands such as Kendra Scott, to private corporations and local businesses. She's often featured on national radio shows and podcasts since 2014. Jax channels those in the heavenly realm and high-frequency beings who provide clients with guidance to stay in alignment with their soul purpose and mission. Her abilities go beyond the traditional psychic mediumship into the mystical world of Vietnamese shamanism, with practices rich and rooted in culture. So welcome, Jax, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you too. I'm
Yeah,
so
happy New
excited to
Year.
be here.
Good. So we're going to get into insights into 2026 and the interesting times that we're in. While everybody's listening, if you guys want to look up some websites, you might be listening to us through the sanctuarynetwork.com. That's our umbrella website. And then you can look at spiritfestusa.com to see photos of the events that she participates in. And her website is thelightandbeyond.com. A lot of times people like to look up stuff while they're listening as well. So where do we, how about, tell us about you, because you are a phenomenal reader. And I
Thank you.
don't often get a lot of readings at the shows because, first of all, I'm busy. Second of all, everybody kind of knows who I am, but I kept hearing enough people say, Jax is really good. You've got to get a reading with her. So how did you get started doing all that you're doing? Because you're not just a reader, you are a channeler, and you do so much work, in the other realm. So like I said, where did this start?
Because I am 6th generation, it means that it actually runs on both sides of my family line. My father and my mother were both heavily into shamanic and psychic practices. My dad had done it his entire life until he passed away in 2013. And then he showed up in my bedroom a week after, and he was like, "You were chosen by the council on the other side." And the thing about shamanism is that you have to be picked. So it's not like, even though you're born into it, everybody in my family's psychic, but not everybody's meant for this kind of job. And it's because my energies run really closely to my father. And I'm actually the first female shaman in my family. It's always been male
Oh.
dominated. So it's a
Hmm.
passed on the line to the male lineage. But because my older brother wasn't chosen, I was chosen. And so I was given a choice. Actually, I asked for the choice because when you're chosen, they will allow you to accept or reject the responsibilities. And it would have died in my father's line if I didn't take it. So I had a lot of pressure, but at
Uh-huh.
the same time, it was nothing unusual for me because my whole entire existence, I've always known I was a little special and a little weird, as people would think, because they didn't understand the woo-woo spiritual culture. And so I remember saying to my father, like, "Hey, wait a moment, can I kind of change the rules up a little bit on the soul contract?" And he was really good about it. He was like, if you don't ask, you don't receive. And a lot of people don't realize that when you are chosen, you do have negotiation abilities, just like free will. We have free will to do whatever we want. And so, because of that, I was able to make different arrangements in my soul contract so that it's not going to impact the entirety of my life as well. Because when you follow the path of shamanism, you're actually giving up a lot. You're sacrificing a lot of who you are to devote to doing this kind of work.
Hmm.
And a part of me wanted to be human Jax, and the other part is like, I will only tune in when I am ready to tune in. And because my dad was one of those full body channelers, which means he leaves his physical body and gods and angels and ancestors actually take over his form, and they talk. And one of the things that I've learned and experienced growing up is a true channeler never opens their eyes. And the
Hmm.
reason why is they're using your vessel, they see through the third eye. And
Hmm.
so I'm always a little bit iffy when I see a channeler with their eyes open, because I've witnessed it my entire life. And I know when I've channeled before, because I have that innate ability, I just choose not to do it because I
Hmm.
like to be present.
Hmm.
Because when he leaves his body, he doesn't remember anything. It's like
Right.
somebody else taking over, right?
Hmm.
So I know for a fact about that shamanic practice that channelers don't open their eyes.
Hmm.
But again, for me, one of the contracts is like, "Hey, I want to be present. I want to know what's going on. I just want to hear, see, and astral and do whatever, all those things, but be present."
Right.
So it got, so I didn't really practice until after he passed away, even though I've always dabbled in the spiritual arena.
Hmm.
And the thing is that I was never taught. And the reason why I was never taught is because my dad was so busy. Like, he worked with people all over the world, and like, he was a private person, but people would seek him out.
Hmm.
And so he was very well known because of that. And for me, um, I I remember the first time I did a reading was kind of just by accident, because there's a lot of past life memories that come up as you're learning, because the other side will let me channel all of my homework or all of my classwork. So I'm
Mm.
either in meditation and learning everything, or in sleep state, or in astral state when I've learned everything. So everything I know was never taught to me. I never went to school. I've never taken a lesson for any of this. It was just given
Hmm.
to me. And
Hmm.
so I'm blessed with that. And the first time I did a reading was kind of funny, was that, I'm an author. I've written over 30 books. And I was at one of these, romance writing private meetings.
Uh-huh.
And we had a friend of mine who did smoke readings. And she actually was like one of those, we were doing a spiritual day, and she reads a soot off of smoke. And I remember when she did mine, I looked at it and I said, "Oh, you missed so much." And I was telling her everything that I saw,
Hmm.
and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like you're blessed. You already innately have that ability." And I didn't, it didn't register when I was at the time, because I was like not even in the spiritual profession. And
Uh-huh.
so she made me go around and reread everybody's spiritual card that they did the readings on, and I blew people away, and I didn't even know, because it was like I was channeling, and that was the first time I knew I was like truly tapped in. It was kind of a surprise for me. And then
How
after
long
that
ago was
point,
that?
that was probably in like, I want to say 2000, early 2000. I can't remember exactly what year, but it was a
Okay.
while ago.
About 20 years ago. Okay.
Yes, about 20 years ago.
Uh-huh.
But after that point, I kind of knew, and I started to practice on it and work on it. But it wasn't until 2013 that I really decided to break out and accept the, the shamanic blessings that I was given, so that I could do this for a living. And so I started just, I hit the floor running, to be honest. Like, I remember meditating and seeing my ancestors and asking them, like, where did I go? What did I do? How am I going to learn? They're like, don't worry, we're going to lead you all the way. And it was true. Every step that I made, I
Uh-huh.
was led to an opportunity to do readings. And when I had moved to Pittsburgh in around 2014 or so, um, the universe works really interestingly, because I was in a relationship, and I was trying to find a regular corporate job, because my background, is really vast in corporate. And so I could not find a job to save my life, because I am the one of the most marketable person in a corporate field.
Right.
And then I remember I was meditating, and I said, why can I not get a job? Like, I sent out over 100 resumes and only two people responded. And
Hmm.
so my ancestor was like, and look beyond, because you're meant for a purpose. That's why you're walking it. And this is like after my father had passed. And so I
Hmm.
remember all of a sudden I had this vision of like, I'm going to work in a spiritual store. And I didn't know what capacity, I just
Hmm.
saw that. And
Hmm.
so I literally looked up like spiritual stores in Pittsburgh. And um, this place popped up from Shady Side, and it's like a winter park type thing in Orlando. And so,
Hmm.
but so the place was called Journeys of Life. Okay. And so I, for some reason, I was stuck in my head, like, I need to contact these people. And I contacted the owner and I said, hey, I'm a psychic, and I'm interested in space or whatever that you might have. And so she actually wrote me back and says, I don't know why, but I feel good about you. Come on in. So I came
Hmm.
in, and literally she was an hour late. But when she was an hour late, she had said, don't worry, my manager will talk to you. And she kind of set me up, because she made me do readings for everybody in that store.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so, and so after that, she showed up, and then she sat down with me, and she goes, it was not that I was, I intentionally was late, because I wanted to kind of vet you to see if you were any good. But when I came, everybody was raving about you. And so she goes, I never get readings. I've only had two in my lifetime, but I want you to do a reading for me. So
Hmm.
I did a reading for her, and like a really brief one. And then after like 5 or 10 minutes, she goes, congratulations, you're a new member of our store, and that you could come and do psychic work here. And that
Uh-huh.
was how I knew it was meant to be.
So you just read at the store?
Yep.
Or did you do other things too?
Um, I well, where I started was from the store. It was also
Hmm.
the first time I did like live mediumship as well, because I didn't even know I talked to spirit all the time. I never knew I could do mediumship until that point. And
Hmm.
so after that, I don't know, it was word of mouth, and I started getting extremely busy. So I did a lot of calls, in like, video calls and whatnot. And then after that, just all these opportunities came up where people would like suggest me to their companies. And I mean, that it
Hmm.
was, everything was word of mouth. I never advertised
Right.
myself at all. I don't think I even put up a website until literally like 5 years ago. Like, I never had the need to. I was just
Right.
that busy. And there was a point where I was like booked like a year and a half out, and
Uh-huh.
not even kidding. Like, I would have like 5, 10 clients a day, and it was exhausting, but I did it for many years. And And a lot of the times, this is really interesting, is that I manifested a lot of my opportunities. Like I would think in my head, like how I got Kendra Scott and Coachella was because I had a vision board up. And for some reason, I felt really strongly. And in my head, nights, like a couple nights before, I kept saying, I feel like somebody's going to find me on social media and book me. And I kept
Uh-huh.
seeing that vision. And I
Uh-huh.
would put up like how much I wanted and like how I would be found, which is the email, and that it would be like somebody I've never heard of. And so literally, like I want to say, like within a week or two, I suddenly was on, looking over all my appointments, and then on an email there was like requests for, a smoke reader, because that was what I was doing at the time, of smoke readings too,
Mhm.
and it was Kendra Scott. And I was like, I don't even know this brand. I've never heard of it. Like, and so I thought it was like a fake, but I looked
Uh-huh.
it up. I was like, oh crap, this is like really, like a real
Wow.
brand. And
Uh-huh.
so then I contacted the person in charge, and they're like, we're looking for a smoke reader, because Kendra Scott had come out with a whole line of crystal candles with
Right.
different that was going to kind of change the direction of what they were going, not just jewelry. And
Hmm.
so then I was like, well, where do you want me to do the readings? And this is funny, because I manifested travel. And so she's like, well, we want to send you to Coachella for 2 days. And then as I was talking to her, I kept thinking that would be nice if I could go to other places. She literally flew me out to um, Palm Beach, LA, Austin, and like a bunch of
Wow.
places. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it was really fascinating, and what such a great experience, because at Coachella I was reading like
Mhm.
100 people a day. And even at their private event, I think I read about 100 people. It was
Uh-huh.
insane. I was like,
That's
I couldn't even
amazing.
talk by the end of the week.
What brought you to Florida?
Well, my family was living here. My parents and my siblings were living here. So this was kind of like one of those places where I just stopped off at whenever I traveled, because I was kind of a gypsy. Whenever
Hmm.
I had like if I had the desire, I would just pick up and move. So I've lived everywhere from Paris to LA.
Hmm.
Um, and I
Wow.
actually manifested this since I was 8 years old. Because at 8 years old, I had written down all the states and countries I wanted to live, and I've lived in every single one except for New York,
Wow.
which was the only city I've missed. Which is funny, because I was eight. You
Uh-huh.
never
Uh-huh.
think about that. I wish I still had that paperwork. It's just I moved so many times. But yeah, so I came back to Orlando because my dad was dying, and then later on I had moved and came back because my mom was sick. So that was
Mhm.
what brought me back to Orlando, and I've only been back, I think, a little over 2 years now. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're very lucky to have you, needless to
Thank you.
say. So you do these different types of readings, and we know about the clairs, clairaudient, clairsentient, claircognizant. What do you consider how you get your information in that type of sense?
I am directly connected. So it means that I actually have all the Claire abilities.
Mm.
Um, because when you are tapped in, like when I am in a space of calm, I just open up my crown chakra, and it's almost
Mhm.
like a thread of energy that I connect to the other side.
Mhm.
And um I just get that information flow from there, and
Right.
I see spirit differently from the average medium. Like most mediums will, because I've talked to a lot of mediums, and I'm not like, that's not my profession, is mediumship, but I could do it. And how I
Mhm.
view mediumship is when the deceased show up, or they're very organized, because I'm very militant about it. I'll
Mhm.
say, like, if you guys don't get enough formation, I won't talk to you. And
Mhm.
so they're not going to be like, most mediums will say spirits are jumping and screaming all over the place, so it's hard for them to tap in. I don't do that. I kind of isolate people. It's like I give them, they're behind a door, and then I open
Mhm.
up the door, and then I'll say whoever needs to come in, come through. So
Mhm.
that's how I connect to the right people. Um, and the thing about mediumship is that everybody always shows up. They don't always talk, and there's a lot of reasons. It's like a certain person is strictly giving the message for specific reasons in your life. And because I do alignment and life purpose, they're coming in to give you in a space of advice. I don't talk to any kind of earthbound spirits, which means spirits that have just passed and are still lingering and trying to go down memory lane and stuff like that. The type of spirit that I talk to are those on the other side that are evolved or have gone through a transitionary period or a evolutionary period on the other side. So
Hmm.
they come in a form of kind of like almost like guidance and advisors because they've learned from their soul contracts. And so
Hmm.
that's the messages that I'm getting is through those kinds of people and not and it's very rare that I will work with earthbound spirits, and it's usually when someone passed away because of causes that were, like murder or suicide or something like that. Those are the only times that I connect to those kinds of people to give them closure or to um, find truth.
Hmm.
But again, I don't really work in that arena, but I do it.
Okay. So I know that when I've been with you, or even at the show after dinner, after the show at dinner, or things
Mhm.
like that, you just know things. People might just say something and you just get information. So is that going on all the time that you're getting information on most everybody and everything that's around you?
The truth is that yes, but I've learned over the years how to turn off my open sign.
Hmm.
So I only open it up when I feel like I should, or if a spirit is very adamant about giving a message, or if I know that it's something they prayed on, and then their ancestors come to me and say, "Hey, you have to answer them."
Hmm.
But otherwise, I'm very good about shutting off myself so that I can
Hmm.
live normal Jax because that was part of my contract that I could
Right,
shut off and on. So that's been a blessing for me because I can shut people off.
right, right. Well, good. Yes, you got to get some rest sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's talk a little bit about I think, oh, you know what? Hang on. I'm just looking at the time here. I'm not sure when we have to go to our first break.
Yeah.
About the times that we're in. So we've switched now from a culmination year to a 1 year. And
Hmm.
this year is about manifesting and about creating more so than ever. Planetary,
Hmm.
collectively as well as individually. But tell me just we've got about just about five
Yeah.
minutes here before we
Right.
go to break. What do you make of everything that's going on in the world? Things just seem chaotic, and I use that word
Hmm.
seem
Right.
specifically. Just in short, how would you explain what's going on to everybody?
So, some of the informations that I meditated on and received about this energy is that we are literally just starting the Aquarian age. And people assume that it was like last year. But to be honest, those were prequel to the Aquarian age. And again, I'm not an astrologist. I don't know anything about this. This is just things that I am given. But they were talking
Mhm.
about how we needed that time of closure. So last year was a 9 year, which is the end of relationships, lots of death, lots of people divorcing, lots of people losing their jobs, and all of that stuff. And it's a period of rockiness because we have to have a tower moment for us to be awakened. And now we are truly going into the awakening phase. This is phase one. So this whole year is phase one of the awakening and reawakening. So there are people who have been spiritually connected for many years, but they were dormant for the last 5 to 10 years, and now they
Mhm.
are reawakening. And then there
Mhm.
are the mass collective of people who have always been slightly awakened, but now they know that it's their calling to see truth. Because
Mhm.
being awakened doesn't mean you're going to be like a psychic, it just means that you're going to be opening your channels to receive guidance in a way that will steer you in the right direction and to navigate you the right way. So this whole year is about growth, okay, and
Mhm.
transformation. And you're going to see more and more spiritual people coming on every social media network. Doesn't mean all of them are 100% accurate, but
Uh-huh.
at least they're trying, right? Because they're trying
Mhm.
to raise the consciousness of the world in a way that is going to help direct us to reach the level of harmony. The Aquarian age is all about technological advances, scientific advances, connections with ET,
Uh-huh.
the intergalactic all of those things is part of this awakening process. And
Okay.
we're going through these difficult times to help us understand what patience is. Because the true key to flowing well is learning about opening your senses, learning the patience to get there, and also to everything now moving forward is about action. This whole year is about, this is a fire horse year, which means
Mhm.
that anybody who has any kind of passion, any kind of drive, any kind of ability to make their dreams come true, any one of those types of personality types are going to fare well in the next 20 years.
Okay.
And so it's going to also kind of single out people who are like victim mentality and all of this stuff,
Mhm.
because those are the people who are not going to survive the Aquarian age. Okay.
Yeah.
And so there's a vast need for awakening, and because of that, it's going to shake people into this awakening process, and it's just better for the world because the end result is going to be a harmonious cycle that's coming up. And
Uh-huh.
it doesn't feel like it now because it feels like chaos, but it's always for a reason, and it's truth,
Right.
so
All
this
right,
this
I'm
uh-huh,
gonna stop you right there,
yeah,
and then we'll know right where to pick up when we come back. But
definitely.
everybody write this down. Phone number. If you want to call, ask Jax a question, and you might be able to do a reading or two.
Hmm.
800-930-2819. If you are on Facebook, feel free to leave a comment. We can't monitor them during the show, but we'd love to hear your thoughts. So to find more about Jax, thelightandbeyond.com. Our website is thesanctuarynetwork.com, spiritfestusa.com, and we'll be back after a few messages. So thank you, everybody.
Hi, this is the Celtic seer, Barbara McGillicuddy, and you can find me at barbaramcgillicuddy.com or on YouTube at Metaphysical Awakenings with Barbara and Eric. As a medium and animal communicator, it is my joy to speak with people on this side and people who have crossed over to bring forth beautiful messages of love.
Hi, I'm Susan from My Enchanted Path, where I create divinely guided candles, intention oils, soaps, and more that make your spiritual practice simple. No complicated rituals needed. The names may be playful, but every product is serious about helping you shift your energy. All fragrances are clean and safe, free from the major toxins no one wants in their home or on their skin. With a 5-star rating and over 100,000 customers, MyEnchantedPath.com is a place to find charming items for an enchanted life.
Are you longing for the deepest healing of your soul? The kind that transforms you from the soul outward? At JewishHealer.com, Dr. Doran Shalev offers powerful energy healing rooted in the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, where he heals the body through the soul and the soul through divine connection. Your transformation begins with a single session. Treat yourself and book yours today at JewishHealer.com. All sessions are 50% off through December.
Join us for Spirit Fest, coming soon to a city near you. Spirit Fest is a metaphysical, holistic, and crystal expo featuring an amazing array of vendors, speakers, authors, artists, crystals, healers, psychic readers, and more. Spirit Fest is your chance to explore and connect with others of like mind. Get all details, including our upcoming locations up and down the East Coast, also discounted admission, and more at spiritfestusa.com. Our next event is January 10th and 11th with special guests and special presentations, including psychic explorer, medium Mark Anthony, and also historical researcher, explorer, and author Jim Vieira. More details are coming to our website soon, and we look forward to seeing you at Spirit Fest in 2026. Welcome welcome back, everyone. We're having a really great episode, our New Year episode with Jax Cassidy, psychic medium, and we're talking about energies and insights for this year. So, we've been talking about the energies, about how this is kind of a 20-year cycle, the
Hmm.
Aquarian age that we're
Yeah.
going into. And it sounds like this is kind of a separate the wheat from the chaff type of a
Hmm.
thing. That
Yeah.
the people, we either need to rise up and own our what it is that we want to see. That's what I feel like, is that everything is just so divided, and I feel like that we're just creating separate realities. And some people are going to kind of go this way, some people are going to kind of go this way, and some people don't really care, and then they're just going to kind of get left behind.
Yeah.
Not literally, but and I do know a lot of people are transitioning now, and maybe
Hmm.
it's just the average thing, but
Hmm.
it doesn't seem that way to me. I just feel like that it's just a time. It's just,
Right.
again, the energies that we're in. Do you have any more to add about that? So I'm thinking not even just politically, but
Hmm.
culturally.
Yeah.
And it's not just the United States, it's all over the world. It's
Yeah.
just such a different time, and it seems chaotic, but I feel like we're birthing something. What do you think?
Totally, we're totally birthing something, because remember, we have to have the catastrophic, moments for us to really rise up. And that's where the 1 year comes into play, because with upheaval it changes the consciousness, because people are going to start to realize, oh, I don't really want war, I don't want people dying, I don't want these
Right,
things. And it
right.
takes the collective energy to really save the world, because
Yeah.
that's why we need to be awakened. Because if we're all running at the same high frequency, there's going to be a creation and a ripple effect of balance and harmony. Because the key again is balance and patience. And so, although it feels like everybody's impatient in this world, it's not really truth. Because if you look, there's more and more people stepping up into their spiritual, self, and so
Mhm.
they're seeking peace and harmony and clarity, and they're realizing the system is not working the way it should. And the thing is that the thing about it is technology is wonderful, but we tend to always regress back into simpler times. So you're going to start seeing more of people stepping back to simpler times. You're going to see people like, trying to find remote countries to live in and kind of start fresh and live off the grid and all that stuff to create harmony and balance. Some of the other things that I see is that, there is a lot of potential for abundance for people. So even though there is a world of poverty and, lack and scarcity, the people who are riding on, because think about it, actually living multiple timelines at the same time. So that's why it's so important
Well,
for
hang on,
us.
hang on.
Yep.
Let's explain that a little bit more to people.
Okay.
Don't forget where
So
you were going with that.
yeah, I
Yeah,
forget, because
yeah.
it's something I know. But everybody in existence is living on a different timeline, but they're all kind of parallel to each other. So when the 5D is like the higher frequency, timeline, and even there's even further than that. But then there is the 3D, which is what we feel like right now, repression, like anger, resentment, all of that stuff. Those are people who feel lack and insecurity and all that. And that is the average typical person lives on the 3D timeline. Where
Mhm.
people who are in the spiritual arena, that's why there are so many people trying to awaken, is that they want to swiftly move into an energy of abundance and flow, and that everything works out in their favor and everything just seems to, align. And those are people on the 5D timeline. And again, it functions when how timeline works is that there's thousands and thousands of timelines going on at the same time, but the most prevalent one, the two that is parallel, is a 3D and a 5D. So if
Right.
you raise your consciousness, so you're constantly like functioning at a space in which you're basically 1 foot here, 1 foot in an astral like energy, then you're going to manifest anything that you want, basically for the greater good, because nothing is about, like selfishness, and everything is about selflessness, because we're here for a reason, right? We have soul
Right.
contracts for a reason. So when I say that some people are functioning on a 3D, those are the people who, like I said, are the negative folks who tend to say, why does all these things happen to me? Well, you're creating that timeline in which you get to it circles around all the time for you. So you're being hit with the same thing over and over again. And for
Right.
those of us who are taking action and making an effort, we're working on a timeline that functions very, very quickly, so things move very swiftly, and so we always see the we garner the rewards, because we've gone on a speed that is drawing it closer. Because also how timeline works is that us ourselves, we have like thousands of timelines going on. And
Hmm.
every second, every thought that we have is actually our free will choice to change the direction and trajectory of which timeline we're staying on. So we
Yes.
have to function higher so that we can stay on the 5D. So let's say we um, are functioning on a higher timeline. We are anchoring into a reality that is already like a couple steps into the future, whether seconds, minutes, or years. Like if you wanted to envision, like, let's say Spirit Fest blows up and goes globally, how you do is when you're viewing it, you're visualizing. Visualization is not visualization, it's actually anchoring into an existence that's already there.
Right.
And when you see it very clearly in all
Mhm.
of your, sensations, feelings, emotions, like, feel so real that you have vivid, like, imaginings when you're thinking about it, that means that that already exists, and you're just asking and anchoring in and pulling it closer to you so it can
Right.
become a reality faster.
So the
So,
first thing I'll say though is be careful what you wish
yep,
for.
exactly, exactly,
But
exactly.
knowing you can have anything that you want.
Hmm.
Sky is the limit.
Yep,
Nothing is outrageous. You
yep,
can have anything. And I, like you, did a vision board once. I want to say that it was about 2014, I think. And I found it, I don't know, 3, 4 years ago, and literally every single thing on it I had gotten. Some of it
yep,
I had gotten and moved on, even. It was amazing. And it
yep,
really does work. And it's just knowing and feeling as if you've already got it, really. There's
exactly.
no doubt. And I somebody gave the analogy once. It's like when you go to a restaurant and you order food, when you put in your order, you don't, after the waiter leaves, you don't sit there and worry
No,
about how they're putting together your meal. You're enjoying your conversation and
yep,
having a nice time, knowing that your order is going to come out exactly like you asked for. And
exactly.
that's pretty much, how that works too. And I
Hmm.
know that this thing with the dimensions or the timelines is kind of confusing or complicated.
Hmm.
And again, I can tell, and other people, and it's kind of a joke now. Oh, I must have shifted timelines. But I can feel it's a visceral thing. I
Yep,
almost feel a little dizzy when it happens.
yep,
And then that might be something that I would ask myself is, okay, what has shifted in me? And sometimes I know, sometimes I don't have any idea. But the year that we're in, like you said, it's the beginning of this new age where we
hmm,
can create things easier, faster, better than ever before. And those of us who are inclined, and I would say anybody listening, if anybody is listening to us, you are drawn to this information. You are on this path where you know that there's more than what we can see, what the five senses can perceive. So that's why you're here. You know that you're one of the people that is going to be ushering people into this new age.
exactly. So all the people who find us, it's not a coincidence. So if at any time when people show up to listen to this, it's because they are in the awakening stage or they are currently awakened. And it's not uncommon that people have had a really hard last year because it was meant to. I always say to my clients, it's the survival of the fittest. If you cannot, you know, function in a state of, like, hardships and stuff like that, how are you going to navigate through when things are really good? And how you know you're on the right timeline is that everything is effortless. It's almost like everything you want just shows up, like everything you ask for just shows up, so effortless. Then you know you're on the right timeline. Now if you keep getting obstacles after obstacles, you have to ask yourself, like, what was my free will choice there? What did I do to limit myself from being into the 5D? It's because we allow that fear of lack, or that fear of, like, I'm not good enough, or that fear of, like, what was me? Why didn't I get this job or that job? It's not has anything to do with you. It's
Mhm.
because, one, last year was a difficult year for a lot of people and a lot of signs, because it is a part of or a spiritual evolution. So the people who can navigate through, those are the ones who are going to garner the biggest rewards in the next few years, because we're going to start seeing it take root within the next couple months. I feel like the energies really don't even really start to shift until February. So if you're still in the residual end of all this bad stuff, it's because it's telling you that, are you going to allow yourself to be beat down, or are you going to pick yourself up and be a trailblazer or a pioneer for something? And that will really serve you. And you will see the difference at the end of the year when you look back and know that you are in the right timeline.
Right, right. I feel like one of the ways to do that, to kind of stay in the higher energies, is surround yourself with people of like mind.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
know that that's difficult when you might work someplace where you're the only one, you keep kind of your thoughts to yourself,
Right.
or if even in your family, there's not a lot of people that, might support your kind of out there thoughts. Like you said, weird is a relative term, I might add. But just knowing that there's other people out there that think the way that you do, and you're not alone. And that's one of the good things about Spirit Fest, is that you will meet others of like mind. And then
Exactly.
you can come and you just might meet people, and we have the different lectures and the speakers too. If you come by yourself, it would not be uncommon that you would talk to other
Mhm.
people, but then getting to talk to the different, we call them vendors, but it's the
Yeah.
readers, healers, the people that have different offerings. But just being able to converse with them, whether you buy anything or purchase any services or not, you really do get a lot of information. And then a lot of people, they love the bags so
Mhm.
that they can get information and fill up the bags and take it home and peruse it. But that's why we started the Sanctuary website, so that we can start putting more information on that for people. There's a lot of stuff out there. Not all of it, I feel like, is the highest
Mhm.
quality
Right.
information.
Right.
A lot of people cut and paste other stuff, and it might not
Yeah.
necessarily be accurate or whatever. So you mentioned you start to see things shift in February.
Mhm.
So tell us about more of the insights that you have for next year, or for the rest of this year, for 2026.
Some of the things that I saw was that there is going to be a lot of successful people, and particularly people who are have like fire signs or earth signs or water signs. And the reason why, but it's tricky with fire signs because you can burn yourself out, or you can really propel yourself to, like, I'm talking about generational wealth type stuff. So if
Mhm,
you're a fire sign, you have to be careful, because it's not only about being passionate, but it's also being grounded, so that
mhm,
you again don't burn out, or don't create any kind stir any kind of trouble before
mhm,
yourself.
mhm,
So the fire signs actually has positive and negative. The earth signs are really good, because earth signs work well with fire signs, because when you step up into your power and your strength,
mhm,
you can you can extinguish fire, with
mhm,
sand, earth.
mhm,
So those kinds of people are going to be very grounded if they take any kind of action towards their dream. So if
mhm,
you are like creatives, especially creatives, this year is a very big year for people really making their mark into the world, and really opening people's eyes about things. Like, if you notice, like, there's been, more diversity, because those types of energy is what is really also propelling in the creative process of the Aquarian age, as well as, like, those in the spiritual arena, music, arts, writing, all of that.
mhm,
The air signs, oh, the water signs are good too, because but they also have to stay strong and grounded as well, because otherwise they'll drown in their emotions. And
mhm,
so that's something. If you're a water sign, just be careful about getting hurt, like hurting yourself, self-sabotaging, that kind of stuff. For the air signs, what I see is that those it's kind of tricky, because um, they have to really work on themselves this year. So if they have any kind of personal, like, mental health, or this is the time to get healthy. This is
mhm,
the time to really have innate belief in a higher,
Hmm.
source energy to help you, because this is a different kind of spiritual cleansing for people who are air sign.
Hmm.
Um, so it's really important for them to really hone into that energy of connection to the spiritual arena, as well as trying friendships and building that tribe of people to help uplift them.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing about this next year, again, like I said, this is one of those years where you're actually planting the seeds for your future. So this entire year, it feels slow in moving, but it's not. It's actually going to be manifesting very quickly after this year. And
Mm.
so we're really going to feel, the people who are really going to feel the shift are the people who are already started to do the homework, like at the end of last year. They're
Right.
going to really see this shift once February hits. And again, everything is effortless. When things starts to just like show up and it just works out for you, there's a lot of justice that comes for people who have worked out. Those are the type of people that are going to fare really well this year.
Hmm.
The other energies that I saw is like one of the things I hear a lot is like, again, patience and balance. For some reason, that is like the overall energy for 2026, but it's also about abundance. What does abundance look like for you? It's
Hmm.
not always money, right? When you are fulfilling your own abundance, those are the people who are really going to thrive. The people who see the value in abundance and not just monetarily, although you will get it too. But there's just like a transformation in your mindset and your trajectory and your perspective when
Hmm.
you are knowing what abundance means to you.
Right.
Otherwise, if you are, again, if you are seeing that 2026 is rocky, then again, you have to address like, why am I in this situation? And did I not learn my karmic lesson? So what do I need to learn? So it's about more healing, more internal structural healing, like
Mhm.
finally having closure to these traumas, or finding treatment, or
Mhm.
finding help, whether it's spiritual arena, or because we have all kinds of great modalities even at Spirit Fest. Like, we have everything from oars to Reiki healing to whatever. The sky's the
Mhm.
limit. So anything that they do to help themselves in that arena will also help
Mhm.
them level out and balance out as well. So that's going to be beneficial for them after that point.
I
I've
noticed during the pandemic, there was some benefits that came when people
mhm,
stayed home for
yeah,
months. The earth kind of cleansed itself and quickly, I might
yeah,
add. Some of the smightier cities cleaned up really quickly. But even the people that did get very sick, that recovered, some people, as we know, does have some issues. But I really did see the opportunity to be able to rest, that we're being forced to
mhm,
go within and look at
yes,
ourselves and then again focus on health and things like that. And I feel like that we might be going through something a little similar. We're having a flu outbreak right
yeah,
now, but I got laid out last month. I literally
mhm,
slept through the month of December. And I just thought, I really don't have time for this. But of all the months in the year, that was the one month we did not have
mhm,
shows. And that was what I did. I just went into it really trying not to fight it and just making, the best health choices that I could. And I
yeah,
think a lot of other people are experiencing that too. So rather than going into fear or, just regret and things
mhm,
that go along with being sick, to just maintain the highest spiritual level that you can and
mhm,
not worry that we're
right,
being taken care of, that we have guides, that are
mhm.
helping us as well, that are going to take us to where we want to be. So, what would you suggest for people as far as, would you suggest that people make a list of what they're manifesting? Or I love something that we did on New Year's Eve where we talked about what we're going to be doing next New Year's Eve and we
Mhm.
speak of it as if it's
Yeah.
already happened. What are some things that people can do to really ride this on the highest part of the wave that they can for the next year?
One of the fun things that I normally do is like, um, one of the rituals that I do is like, I will write down as if I were looking at myself like a year from now, where do I see myself? What am I doing? Like, how do I feel? Like those kinds of things. And when I write down, like, and again, the sky's the limit, but also you have to be rational about a lot of things. Because if you're going to write like, I'm going to make six figures and you do nothing, you just sit on your butt, then of course it's not going to show up, right? So you have to craft it very, specifically, so that again, you're honing in and tapping into that. One of the rituals I do is I write on a piece of paper like five, like I'll cut small strips and I'll write like five or six different things that I feel like I'm going to achieve, like this year, travel, or publishing more books, that kind of stuff. Then I'll get a bowl of water and I'll cleanse the space and call in my ancestors. And then what I'll do is, because they will help you, they will tell you and guide you what will show up for you. Okay. And so I'll write down like these action points that I think I'm going to achieve. And then I'll get a little bit of salt and I'll throw it in after I cleanse the vessel with like incense or sage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll call in my ancestors and I'll say, I'll need guidance. Like, what are some of the things that what action plans I should work towards, and give me direction on where I need to go. And I'll write, like, again, five or six action things that I think I'm going to achieve this year. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
put it on top of the surface of the bowl. And then I'll get a white candle. And sometimes I'll throw in other things, like if you don't have clothes, I'll throw in like cinnamon. Um, Sprinkle cinnamon, and then I'll light a white like tea line. I'll put it, and it floats on the water, and then it will automatically move on its own to the different pieces of paper. And if it burns it, those are the things that will show up for you this year. And it
Mm-hmm.
was fun. I do that, every once in a while, to see the direction of what I need to focus on. And not
Mm-hmm.
only is it a good visualization tool, but it's also showing you like these things are going to show up for you if you do these things. Not all the paper is going to burn. Like, it's going to burn by order of what is going to be manifesting soon for you. So
Mm-hmm.
that ritual is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or another ritual that I'll do is I'll write down, again, all these action things that I think is going to take place for me, and I'll put it in a jar. And
Mm-hmm.
then I will pull out one piece to read, and that is your action point, and you leave the rest to the universe to do. And you
Okay.
put it on your altar or whatever. And those things gives you a little perspective of focus on what is the main goal for you, or the main karma you need to work through during this year. And that
Mm-hmm.
also gives you like this sense of guidance and purpose. And so
Mm-hmm.
little things like that always work. Or even, like you said, a manifesting list. But again, it's like going out to eat. You make your order, you
Yeah.
place it, then you let it go. You don't
Mm-hmm.
revisit it, you don't look at it until like the end of the year,
Right.
and then you see what shows up, right? So all those things are really good. There's so many different practices, but those are my three favorites.
And the vision board too, and that's what I did
Yeah.
initially after I made mine, I put it away. But
Mhm.
now you don't need to get magazines and cut pictures
Mhm.
out. Now you can print out your pictures on the
Yeah.
internet. So that
Yep.
makes it easy and easier and more fun.
Yeah.
So we've got about 3 minutes till our next break. Tell people how they can contact you to get a reading.
They could go through my website, The Light and Beyond, or they can email me, the light and beyond at gmail.com. And I usually answer and book through that.
Okay.
Um, but this year, this year is a little special because I'm actually getting back into the writing scene. I took like a 10-year hiatus. And so, my guides have been like telling me like I need to get back into my creative field. So this year I'm scaling back. So if you're really lucky, you'll get readings with me through Spirit Fest or whatnot. But I'm trying not to take on any more client list unless it's just absolutely necessary.
Hmm.
But this is a year of me. I'm also trying to live the 5D timeline, so I have to work on those things as well.
Right. And people can find you at Spirit Fest,
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So, and
Exactly.
then you can always contact us in advance to make sure you're
Mhm.
going to be there. Okay, so spiritfestusa.com to find out more information about Spirit Fest. And our website, thesanctuarynetwork.com, will also lead you to all of the sites of all of our shows as well. So people can call in if you would like to talk to Jax, ask a question, give some thoughts, and you might get a little mini reading. But if you would prefer, you could also send us a message either through Facebook or through the Transformation Network, where you're listening to the show and viewing the show right now with a question. put your full name in there, and if you have a question, and then we can look at that as well too. So all right, so I hope everybody will stay with us as we go through our next breaks, and we'll come back and we've got a lot more information to talk about here in the next half hour. So, all right, thank you everybody, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Susan from My Enchanted Path, where I create divinely guided candles, intention oils, soaps, and more that make spiritual practice simple, no complicated rituals. The names may be playful, but every product is serious about helping you shift your energy. All fragrances are clean and safe, free from major toxins no one wants in their home or on their skin. With a 5-star rating and over 100,000 customers, MyEnchantedPath.com is a trusted source for charming items for an enchanted life.
Experience the healing magic of the Himalayas. Tibetan singing bowl classes and sessions are available at Gopali Inputs, which is located at downtown St. Petersburg, Florida.
Florida has a great new option for healthy living. Our Natural Health Expos were a hit last year, so 2026 brings more events around Florida. This special event offers health and wellness opportunities for people and pets. High-quality experts in well-being, healing, anti-aging, and natural living. Plus, you'll find speakers, demonstrations, and much more. All details, lists of locations, and discounted admission can be found at naturalwellnessexpo.com.
Hi, this is Mark Anthony. I'm the psychic lawyer, also known as the Psychic Explorer, and I'm proud to be teaming up with Dr. Pat Vasily for our show, The Psychic and the Doc, your practical paranormal power unleashed. And on this show, all subjects are on the table and no topic is taboo. Tune in, and better yet, call in Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Hey everybody, oh my goodness, we have got talk radio for all of it.
Really, thank you for blazing the trail for women in talk radio and just being such an inspiration to me and so many other people. What you're doing is so awesome. And, you know, without people like you there to like really step out of the box and go for it, I don't know if someone like me would have ever ended up here, but I'm so happy to be here. And yeah, I just want to thank you for everything you're doing. You're one of my major inspirations.
Welcome back, everybody. We are having such a great show with Jax Cassidy, a 6th-generation shamanic healer, psychic medium, and USA Today best-selling author. She is also a fan favorite at Spirit Fest at our shows. So we've been talking about energies and insights in this upcoming year, because we just kind of finished the culmination of it was a 9 year for those that follow numerology. A lot of endings, a lot of finalization, and now we're going into a 1 year, which is creative. And you can kind of see the shape that the world is in right now. Even though it seems chaotic, this is more of a birthing experience than it is. A lot of the structures are breaking down so that we can build up new. And I notice as the younger people are getting more, you know, into the voting age and into their adulthood, they're coming in with a lot of really fresh ideas that I just love. And I'm really excited about that. And they're not shy about speaking their mind. And I think that that's great too. So, and that's what I love, you know, keeping kind of my ear to the ground on really what is important to them right now. So we've talked about some of the influences, and we talked in the last half hour about our what element that we are: earth sign, air, water, fire. A lot of people seem surprised that I'm an air sign, and they go, really? And because they think an air sign should be, all airy fairy. And I said, oh, well, it can be, but it can also be a hurricane and it can
Yep.
shift without notice. So I thought when I found out what I was, it fit me quite well. But really, all you need to do is just a website search.
Yep.
And there will be different ways. It's based on your birthday, right? When
Yep.
you're born. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you can find out and all of these things are really good to know. What your life path number is,
Hmm.
what element you're under. And then just like you were talking about that this is a fire or a horse year, all of
Hmm.
those things are really interesting. And
Yep.
when you kind of look at it, you'll see how it applies to you. And it really is interesting. So one of the things that people always want to know
Hmm.
is about love and about how they are, what is in store this year for them. But soulmates is also
Hmm.
really important to people. And because I wonder if soulmates means different things to different people.
Hmm.
But tell me your perspective on that and tell me what people are talking to you about.
Okay, so the soulmate energy has been open for previously for the past 3 years, but they're more like false soulmates because there's true soulmates and there's false soulmates. And soulmates could be like, not just lovers, but it could be relationships like
Mm,
family or friends, or like how you just meet a stranger and just feel this deep connection. You can become friends. Those are also soulmates. And soulmates are obviously lessons or blessings. So the past 3 years, people are kind of meeting their soulmates, but in a capacity of growth and not really about forever. And so, what soulmates, the true soulmate energy really starts this year. And so, those who have been single for long, extended periods of time, they're going to be single no more. I would be really surprised if they don't find love in the next year or two, because the energies have shifted a lot where true soulmates now can really come together because we're in a 1 year, which means that things are actually turning back into the right direction. So now there is more potential for people to meet like-minded soulmates, people who complement them, people who are more like their best friend, or people who really understand who they are and embrace every aspect of us. So it's not even about looks or attraction, because it's energy. So people are going to be connected by past life energies coming back around, or not meaning an ex-boyfriend or ex-husband, but it can be like somebody that we knew from past lifetimes, maybe even our youth. But soulmates is really prevalent in the next, I want to say, they're telling me about between 1 and 5 years, but typically for people who've been single the longest, it's going to show up probably starting this year. And really, some people it will happen really fast and furious, and some it will be a little slow burn that will take like a year. But
mhm,
I do see a lot of people getting into serious relationships, commitments, marriages, that kind of stuff. That is in the trajectory for where harmony and balance comes together, because in a 1 year there's a need for balance, meaning that yin yang energy is very important,
mhm,
so that we complement each other to bring order and peace. And so that's
mhm,
why there's a huge awakening in the soulmate arena, because
mhm,
we need that in order to create that peace and calm and harmony. And so
mhm.
when people are in love, everything is beautiful, right? So that's
Right.
why there's a need for that to open up. So if you are single, you're not going to be single for very long. But again, you can't sit at home and wait for, them to just knock on your door, ring the doorbell. The key to finding your soulmate, I see right now that they're showing me, is that, remember how there's a shift in consciousness now. People want to be able, before it was the pandemic made us like the highest rated thing was dating apps during that time, right?
Mhm,
Dating apps are going to be a thing of the past, because now everybody's stepping up. If you notice, pickleball groups, run groups, all of those, because we're coming back into balance and harmony, meaning that we will only find our significant other if we travel, if we put ourselves out there, we do sports,
mhm,
we do. If you don't do sports, there's a tons of crafting things, or what do you call it, silent reading groups, all of that stuff.
mhm.
So it, unless you step out and also show up for yourself, then that will really open up the doors for love.
Interesting. So I'm wondering if we should start a singles group at
Yeah,
Spirit Fest.
we should.
That's one of the things that I've always said. It's very infrequently that I really meet single people
Mhm.
that are of like mind, I guess,
Yeah.
and that's okay. Sometimes you don't want somebody that's maybe, this is what I deal just like you all the
Mhm.
time. And I'm
Yeah.
interested to talk more about your writing career too. But sometimes it's just good to have a mundane
Mhm.
conversation
Yeah, exactly.
every now and
And
then too. But that's why I said be careful what you wish for
yeah,
because it could show up
exactly.
much quicker than you expect.
And
And
the and
I feel
I'm
like that
sorry.
we attract somebody that's going to be on the same vibration as us.
Mhm.
And like you
Yeah.
said, that this is a time to clean that up and
Yeah.
really make sure that we are, the best that we can be, whether we're looking for a relationship or not, because
Mhm.
you said it's not just about finding love. It's about
Mhm.
work, career and things like
Mhm.
that, people that we could encounter that we're going to end up being aligned with.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, it definitely. It's connection, right?
mhm,
So, and the thing about soulmates as well is that you have to focus on you this year for love to show up, because
mhm,
that's how it's opening doors for you. So when you love yourself more, you have this greater understanding of yourself, then you are able to give that love to someone else and they can give that love back to you. So if you're just so obsessed with love, you're not going to get it, because
right,
you're actually repelling love,
right,
because they're going to see that desperation of love in your energy field, and that is going to be like a trigger for them, like red flag. They'll know, and
right.
they won't come to you. So that's why you have to focus on yourself and love yourself.
And I like what you said earlier too about um finding people that are like your best friend, because
Hmm.
some people are just sometimes we just have a notion of what romantic love is
Hmm.
supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And maybe that this is a time in our evolution where we're kind of revising what that is. It used to be that men and women were expected to get married young, have kids,
Hmm. Yeah.
have the 2.5 kids and the picket fence and the minivan and everything. And that's not really the way it is anymore.
No.
People are getting married, not having kids. They might be having just less traditional relationships. And I just think that that's awesome. I think that
Yeah.
there's a lot of pressure that's off of that. And I just think about how many people were in situations that maybe they wouldn't have chosen for themselves because they felt like that they had to over the years.
Yeah.
So I do think that this is a really exciting time that we're in, even though it seems chaotic.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
you're
go
right.
ahead.
And love is effortless, right? So when you're starting a relationship, everything has to fall into place and flow. If there is one obstacle or one challenge after the next, and that person not your soulmate. That's somebody that you are
Hmm.
romanticizing the relationship and putting all your hopes and dreams in trying to fix that relationship to meet what you want. And that's
Right.
not a true soulmate either. Soulmates are effortless. Like
Hmm.
everything just falls in place and you just know, and it just like goes from there.
Right. Right. I'm trying to think of, there's so many different, there was a thing that I watched called Ripple on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't seen it.
But it's about basically if you miss an opportunity to get together with somebody or to have an experience, if it's meant to be, it's going to come back around. You're
Mhm.
just not going to miss the boat and you're not going to, think that, you've missed a great opportunity. If it's meant to be, it definitely
Mhm.
will happen. But highly recommend that show. That is something that I always like to ask my guests is what are you watching on
Mhm.
TV or what have you watched that you liked?
To be honest, I don't really watch much TV because for me, once in a while I'll watch K dramas or something like that, or C
Hmm.
dramas. But for the most part, I try not to do a lot of television because I'm so busy on a
Yeah.
daily basis. And now that I'm writing again, I really don't have much time for it. But
Mhm.
I wish I could say, I think I'm trying to think of the last like American television show I've seen. I can't even tell you, to be honest.
Okay. Um, so let's talk about your writing. So a lot of people, especially that know you as a psychic medium
Mm,
and that know you from Spirit Fest, are shocked to learn that you are a big deal author with over 30 published books and really at the top of your game. So tell us about your books and how you got started writing.
yeah.
How did that all come about?
Well, my background is actually screenwriting and also journalism. And so when I was growing up, I always thought I was going to be an actor because I was a child actor. And I ended up finding that I didn't really like acting, and I liked it. I loved writing screenplays. And so, but the first book I ever wrote was actually horror, because I was writing screenplays like for tales. I wanted to submit for, you know, Stephen King style or Tales from the Crypt style,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a writing partner at the time. And along the way, I realized I actually really love love stories, because since I was 8 years old, I would write fairy tales,
Mm-hmm.
and one day when I was in Hollywood, I was working in Hollywood. I had a friend, and she worked for a prominent TV show, and we were just hanging out. And we started. She goes, "I'm reading this romance book, and I think it's horrible." And so I was like, "Well, let me read." And I read it, and I said, "Oh my God, this is horrible," you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so we kind of made a game, and we're like, "Hey, let's try to write our own romance books." And because I write a lot of rom-coms, and so I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. So our goal was to, manifestation going to play. Our goal was to write, our own books. And she was really into like paranormal fantasy stuff, and I was into, again, rom-com. So I wrote my own version, and we submitted it, and I actually got a publishing contract.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I ever wrote, I sold. And I was just lucky, and I was blessed. And after that, like, I kept selling, and then I got an agent, and I've had an agent for many, many years now. And it just kind of blew up from there. And I guess at around like 2004, I actually founded a website called Romance Divas with a friend of mine. Her name's Kristen Painter, and we were a big deal at the time because it was almost like the very first community board that was a school for romance writers. So we
Uh-huh.
won awards on Writer's Digest every year, like for like a dozen years. And so um, all through that time, we actually connected the writing community together, and it really flourished. But we no longer like the forum is still in existence, but we
Mm-hmm.
really are not. I'm not as active anymore. I know she is,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but I've been writing for forever, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
But I took a couple years off because I stepped into the spiritual arena, and I needed that time to kind of figure out who I was and
Mm-hmm.
where I was going, and all of that. But my love for romance writing and rom-com and everything
Mm-hmm.
has always been a part of myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually, even before then, I used to write Asian American characters, and now it's blowing up. Like, back then there's no, and no one would buy my books because I wrote Asian American characters. And so I kind of felt like I was ahead of my times. And I feel like if I wait any longer, I'm going to miss this round.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm getting back into the writing arena, because a lot of my fans, my readers, they still connect with me and write me or email
Mm-hmm.
me and ask me when I'm going to have a next book. So I just decided this is going to be my year. So 1 year, right? So
Uh-huh.
I might as well get back to it.
So are you, if we went to Amazon.com, are you under Jax Cassidy?
Yes. I've
Wow.
written
Other
under
people.
like, yeah, I've written under like four pen names, but Jax Cassidy is the one that is mine.
Okay.
So if you'll pull up a lot of my books. A lot of the other older books I own rights to now because the publishers closed out over the years because the publishing industry has changed a lot.
Yeah.
And so, but yes, you can find my books everywhere:
Okay.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, you name it, it's on
Uh-huh.
there.
Do you weave any metaphysical or new thought into your books?
I
Mhm.
write a lot of paranormal. I write contemporary, but I also write paranormal romances. So a lot of it is fun. Like sometimes the world that I write are things that already exist, and I'm just pulling into it, so I make it fiction. So
Mhm.
so
Mm.
it's a lot of fun. I still have a lot of paranormal books I haven't published yet, but I will in the
Mhm.
future. I
Mhm.
really have. I have so many books and screenplays that are hidden in my closet that I should like go back and like polish up and put out.
Uh-huh.
But for right now, I'm doing multiple genres. I'm actually also writing a spiritual book which I hope is a good learning tool for people who are awakening. I do have a workbook out that
Oh, great.
comes hand in hand. It's called Spiritually Awake when I do workshops. There's for baby beginner awakening
Hmm.
people who don't know that much
Hmm.
about the spiritual arena. I have that workbook that's on Amazon right now.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I'm just kind of like all in all kinds of genres right now.
Hmm. Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
So what else do you see as far as the writing career? What do you see you've got in store for this year?
Well, I have my first book signing actually on March 14th in Ormond Beach. It's going to be at the Novelty bookstore.
Okay.
And that is my first one in like, 10 years.
Wow.
So I'm really excited about that. And
Okay.
that's going to kind of relaunch my career.
Okay. Oh, I'm excited for you. So
Thank
that's
you.
awesome. So let's get back to kind of the insights and energies for this year. If you had one piece of advice to give yourself when you first started publicly teaching metaphysics and teaching about, connecting with the other side, what would that be?
I feel like when I when I first started, I didn't realize that everybody was intuitive or is intuitive. Okay, everybody's intuitive. It's just
Mhm.
a matter of how do we use this intuition? Is it for ourselves, or is it because we are called to it because of our soul contract to help other people?
Mhm.
And I would say about 60% of the world use intuition to help guide them through their life to get on the right timeline or life purpose or
Mhm.
pathway. And the
Mhm.
rest are people who are light workers like us, like
Mhm.
you're a light worker because you created this beautiful world with Spirit Fest and the Wellness Festival to help bring people together, right? To
Mhm.
awaken other souls. So that's light work. Light workers could also be not just psychics, but they could be anybody who works in healing people, and that
Mhm.
also includes scientifically, like doctors, like they're very clinically programmed to think that there's nothing beyond like fact and science, but it's not true. Because a
Mhm.
lot of the people that come to me now are in the medical profession or in some kind of career field that has typically been traditionally like very yeah, factual, dependent. And
Mhm.
so I know that the world is changing because people are realizing that they are have always been intuitively open. That's why
Mhm.
they're doing that kind of healing work. So I guess the best advice is that for people who are newly awakened to really find resources that are credible, like find the things, because we are intuitive, we could feel in and know if this person doesn't resonate with you, and if you're learning from them and it feels icky, that's not right, because
Right.
that's not the space that you need to be in. And everybody learns differently, and
Mhm.
everything that we're taught is meant for us as a baseline, and what we receive after that point is going to be, something that we inherently know is truth or not truth. And
Mhm.
so I would say, besides finding somebody reputable,
Mhm.
to learn from, I would also learn all the basics, like read up on books or online. And there's a lot of YouTubes and everything now. We're glided with it, right? But again, use your discernment with your intuitive abilities to tap in
Right.
to feel what feels right. And we know because when we're watching something, either our gut instincts is like, it feels like yucky, then you know that the information is not for you. If your gut instinct is like, butterflies and like, oh, I really get it, and chills. And chills aren't just chills. Chills are signals from the other side that this is what you need to listen to. So the
Right.
more that you watch that, and the more that you listen to your body, then the more that you will be learning the right things.
Right. And that is one of the other reasons that we do Spirit Fest is
Mhm.
because nothing, you can watch YouTube and you can read things on the internet,
Yeah,
but nothing takes the place of actually talking with people,
yeah,
especially because there is a lot of lower vibrational stuff online. And that's where you use your intuition, is to determine who you like and who you
right.
might follow. Are there any channelers that are out there publicly that you like or that you listen to or that you would recommend? I think of
Yeah,
Abraham Hicks type.
exactly. And I mean, there are a lot of a lot of channelers I do like. I do like Abraham Hicks. I like her messages.
Hmm.
Um, for me, okay, and I also like Brashar. But
Yeah.
for me, as a person who channels myself, there is always a moment where I could tap in and feel what it, I and hear if this is resonating or if it doesn't resonate. But that's with everything that I listen to. I usually typically follow my intuition. I do like the messages that Hicks uh, gives out, because it is about transformation, right? It's about choice and free will, and so I do like her. um and again, I don't listen to a lot of channelers, so I can't really speak on like who I absolutely love, but I have like come across those two in particular, and I do like their messages. But like I said, I don't take every message completely. I discern what I know is truth and what I feel is not.
You brought up Bashar, and so we'll kind of tread there for a few minutes. We've got just about 5 minutes
Yeah.
left, so we really only have a few minutes for this. But Bashar is talking about how next year in 2027, there is going to be no doubt in everyone's mind that we are not alone in the universe and that
Mhm.
we have had open
Yeah.
contact with extraterrestrials, space brothers and sisters for a
Yeah.
long time. The government's known about it. What do you think about that as well?
Well, I connect to the what we call interdimensional beings as well, but it's not like what we think. It's not just aliens, right? Because it's energetic, almost like an energetic council that I
Hmm.
connect to, and
Hmm.
they're free. They're like all knowing, almost like source energy. Okay,
Yes.
and so those are the ones that I connect to that gives me insights. And I predicted this like 3 years ago that where it's going to be showing up more last year, and it did. And I feel like this year, I feel like there is going to be an actual communication with interdimensional beings.
Hmm.
I feel very strongly about it. The only way that they are not going to communicate with us is either it's being blocked, or they feel like we are not in a space of balance and healing enough, and then they
Hmm.
will do it next year. But for the years that I've communicated with them, they have told me that there is a need for them to speak out this year, because
Hmm.
the world is ready for it. And it's nothing uncommon. Nobody's fearful of aliens, anymore. We
Right.
watch so many bad shows about it that we're kind of
Right.
like prepped ourselves. But what people don't realize about intergalactic beings is that they are very peaceful beings that is so much wisdom, like they're here from the beginning of time, so they're kind of like record keepers of our entire existence and a lot of
Hmm.
planetary existence. So they are here to help us from not destroying each other, and so when they speak, it's going to be more on the topic of how do we raise our consciousness? How do we, and again, if they're not speaking, I mean, that's why more and more people are channeling, because if they feel like it's going to scare somebody, they're not going to like um, present themselves in that way, and they'll speak through other people. So there's going to be more channelers that are going to happen.
Uh-huh.
Very young channelers.
Hmm.
And again, I do feel strongly that they will show themselves, and it's going to be the most etheric and amazing and beautiful things that
Hmm.
is I can't even like explain or describe, because I could see who they are
Hmm.
energetically, but it's not what it's almost like the appearance of angels. It's scary, but also
Yeah.
amazing and wondrous. That's kind of how
Yeah.
it's going to be.
I'm excited, honestly. And I
Yeah.
think that's a great insight. And that is also a great way to end our show. We are out
Yeah.
of time. So this has been so fun and so interesting. I really hope that you'll join us again another time.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to do this in a few months and kind of see where we
Mhm.
are again with the energy. But so for everybody, find Jax, thelightandbeyond.com. And now we know you can also find her on Amazon.com. You can look up
Yeah.
her in the author search there and check out some of her romance novels. And you can find us, spiritfestusa.com. And the sanctuarynetwork.com is our newest website. It's the umbrella for Spirit Fest and the natural wellness expos that we do.
Mhm.
The first one is going to be in June. We're doing 4 in the state of Florida, and I've got a lot of really neat and
Mhm.
interesting holistic health, wellness advocates, all kinds of great information at those shows too. So we really appreciate you being here. We appreciate your time and all of the work that you do to make the world a better place. And for everybody that's listening, thank you very much. We'll be here again next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And you can find out on our website who is going to be joining us next week. So thank you again, and good night, everybody. Thank you for spending this time with me here on the Sanctuary Network. Tune in every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Transformation Network as we gather to share stories, wisdom, and practices that remind us of something essential. Sanctuary isn't just a place you go, it's a space you create in your heart, your home, and your daily life. I hope today's conversation sparks something in you, a sense of belonging, a new idea, or simply a reminder that you are not alone on this journey. If this touched you, please share it with someone who could use a little light. Together, we can grow this circle of sanctuary and inspire a ripple of healing around the world. And don't forget, the journey continues at spiritfestusa.com, thesanctuarynetwork.com, and naturalwellnessexpo.com. And of course, every week right here on Transformation Network. Until next time, may you be well, may you be inspired, and may you live fully in sanctuary.